Hello, I'm Daniel Hutchings, and I'm the filmmaker behind Freelance Giggle-oh.
Happy viewing. They wouldn't say that if they knew what video we've got.
When I was young, I loved movies. Movies and comedy. Comedy movies.
I want out of here.
Movies that had comedy in. Funny films that seemed serious.
You're all raving mad!
And serious films that seemed funny. Basically, I like laughing. But it never occurred to me to make my own.
Quel dommage.
I used to write a lot of songs, and this led me into making little animated videos that illustrated the lyrics.
Dinosaur's breakfast gave a slipping head. Its first moan song to mourn the loss of its dead.
Making those clips essentially led me to the epiphany that I was making music to go along with films and ideas for stories that were in my head. Once I realised that, I applied for filmmaking MA.
Yeah, that's rubbish.
When I graduated, I had a real sense of dissatisfaction about the final film I'd made. So after I graduated, I decided I was going to explore my visual vocabulary and develop my artistic voice. I came up with the idea of doing Hutchings Half Minute, which was 30-second episodes, and each one would be a little freestanding little joke or aside or sketch or some kind of idea. Trouser emergency. Emergency trousers. So after I finished the Hutchings Half Minute, I decided I was going to make my first feature-length film called Django Away.
The J is silent.
I wanted to start and work at the point of imagination.
We do have a lot of people to see before we make any decisions. We'll be in touch.
I didn't want to have to raise a load of money and then start thinking about how I was going to put this film together once I had this money. So I thought I'd rather just have no money and start from zero rather than start from minus X amount of money and move forward from there. I wrote the script, put out adverts to find people, and scene by scene, week by week, put the film together and developed it a bit as I went. The wonderful thing was I managed to really find several moments in the film where I really felt that I'd really plunged headlong into what my filmmaking vocabulary would be, and that was extremely exciting.
In a game of rank and order, the Joker roams free. The suit you're dealt may not suit the game you want to play, but there may be games you don't know about yet.
Once Django Away was finished, I just wrote to as many different kind of things as I could find, like film nights and film magazines and blogs and whatnot. And luckily a few places decided that they would show Django Away, just for the fun of it. Without further ado, I present to you Django Away.
Out of 5, what would you give Django Away? 10.
Sell it as a book. It's brilliant.
Superb. It's about the 15th time I've watched it.
Excellent.
I want a t-shirt of joking with his court hat on and being deadly serious.
My favourite is the bit at the end where the guy in bed with his machine beeping in the corner. He's going to die in a minute. He's going to continue talking.
Yeah, roller coaster of emotion. Just when you think you can't go through any more emotional states, Dan goes and does another scene, and then another scene, another scene, and they all just get you there.
I would hotly recommend this film to any children.
I can honestly say it gets better every time.
And that led directly into making Freelance Giggle-oh. I continued filming and making with lots of the same cast members, playing different characters. That developed alongside doing stand-up gigs. A whole new narrative developed, and having already delved into my visual vocabulary and starting to really enjoy that, I felt I could really go further headlong into that and move it into far more absurd, abstract, and really trying to go for the complete sense of eruptive joy.
And how right he was.
I don't call this a new era in televisual entertainment. No. I call it very, very dull.
The development I found with Freelance Giggle-oh was that I thought that I'd made the film that I wanted to make, and I screened it at the Greater Manchester Fringe. And I realised that sort of like the first portion of the film was still made with the same mentality that made Django Away. And so I realised I had to re-edit the entire film. I took 50 minutes out of it, reshot another 10 and 15, reworked the entire thing, because I realised I wasn't making the film how it wanted to be made.
Well, let's start again.
I'd say my creative process has definitely got a lot to do with a sense of immediacy and tactility, both in the subject matter and how I like working. I like as short a distance between the idea and the screen as possible.
Camera.
I like to write, I like to perform, I like to direct, I like to light, I like to edit. I like to score, I like to do sound design, I like to see the rendering through, I like to have a hand in the screening, figuring out where it's going to go, who's going to see it. I'd like to know what people think about it. I like to do the posters, I like to do the trailers. I'm interested in all of it. That is my passion.
Theory de l'auteur.
Thing is, I call my zero-budget feature-length films Thing Is because I want them to be beyond description.
How do you mix your paint? In a bucket with a big stick.
I do understand how low-budget films can seem to some people, but for me, that's part of the fun.
These are my lenses.
What the hell am I looking at?
I mean, if what I'm making aren't movies but thingies, then I would hope people would watch them as thingies rather than as movies. And if a thingy is a thingy, then, well, that could mean anything.
What's a Freelance Giggle-oh thing? Well, stop laughing and I'll tell you.
As a freelance gigolo, I go around the place telling stories, telling jokes. Emergency trousers. I think the easiest way to understand the character is to imagine that he's from a time long past where someone would go from town to town and tell stories and entertain people, and then, you know, ask for donations for their efforts, and that would be their job, and make friends along the way, you know, bindle over the shoulder, romance.
I was sat on one of those, you know, the little benches they have, with a little bus shelter over the top. And as I sat there, enjoying the pitter-patter of the rain on the shelter roof, I saw a little old man with a little bag of shopping come and sit down at the other end of the shelter. And just as he did, I looked at him and went, like that.
That's what the film is, basically. It's an extension of what my live act is, but into like all the visual elements that go with that. So it's not just a live show and then you cut to, you know, video work.
Suddenly, my thingy sense tingled. I think I'm losing my audience. I better step things up a bit. But with what?
It's all interwoven and interweaved with those ideas. So it starts at the farce of my stage show and it builds from there.
Everybody! Hello! Hello! Welcome to the show. Hello! Welcome to the show. I said hello. Hello! And welcome to the show. Welcome to my show. Keep going.
So we go through his experiences and his attempts to try and make people laugh.
Objection. Under the comedy rulebook, section 5, subsection 3, this digression serves no comedic value relevant to the defendant, as he himself does not figure in either setup or punchline.
In amongst all that is his neuroses of whether anyone actually values his attempts to try and make the world a happier place one laugh at a time.
Well, let's move on. What's your ultimate dream?
Well, his main one is meeting his dream girl, which is a woman he's always dreamt of throughout his entire life. And part of his mission in life is to meet her. I always wake up before she says anything.
Who is she? Ex-girlfriend?
No, I've never met her. And he has lots of fantasies about how what he's doing would be received if it was on a bigger scale, like on terrestrial television, for example.
This is a really good TV programme.
Keeping it moving, what is your worst nightmare?
His deepest fear, on the other hand, is being accosted by a man whose head is made of feces.
And I can see who it is. And I can smell who it is.
Pooh-Face turns up regularly in his nightmares, and he doesn't know who he is or what he wants, but he just knows that he has to do his bidding.
Because there's no denying Pooh-Face.
I think it signifies a fear of poo. I'm definitely interested in daydreams and nightmares and fears and neuroses and all those things, but the shape and mood and feel of it, as opposed to an observation on those things that is somewhat humorous. So it's more the experience of those things, and they can cause laughter. So at the moment I'm spreading the word on Freelance Giggle-oh. After seeing the trailer online, Italian art film label Carbelucci got in touch. A chap called Roberto sent me a DM and asked if he could see the full movie, and I was like, of course. And that led to it being screened in Milan at Cinema Beltradi to an Italian audience. Carbelucci organised Italian subtitles, and I was invited over to see the screening.
Daniel è arrivato da Manchester per presentare il suo film, è un film che ho trovato, ma succede, è un film veramente pazzesco, buona visione.
Sitting through a thingy from the outskirts of the entertainment industry with its zero-budget production values may either shock the sensibilities or stretch interest to breaking points and beyond, and leave the viewer with a sense of time lost that they will never get back.
È stato così stupido, così cretino, così fantastico, così inedito. Eri bellissimo. Con la tua frangia indietro.
Crazy, but kind of crazy that it's like what is in my mind, I think. And the kind of humor is the one I like most, and that makes me happy when I'm sad. So I was laughing with my heart, really.
The concept of thingy.
It's wonderful.
It's crazy, but it's also so Italian.
Thingy is like that thing.
Azione. Everyone that he seen your movie loved it. For me, it's a very great satisfaction, and I can push your movie, and I wait your next movie too.
After the success of the Milan screening, Carbelucci offered to distribute Freelance Giggle-oh on demand across the globe. So if you go to carbelucci.com, you can watch Freelance Giggle-oh on a thingy near you. And I hope you'll join me in the coming weeks as we'll be taking a look at more of the thingies from Daniel Hutchings. These should include sport thingies with Field of Thingies, This Sporting Thingy, When Saturday Thingies, and Thingy Men Can't Thingy. Biopics with The Theory of Every Thingy, Thingy-o-mania, and Raging Thingy.
Now that looks fun.
If I was going to give advice to young filmmakers out there, this could be you. It would be, make something that's as close to your heart as you possibly can. And send it to me, because that's the kind of films I like to watch.
I've just seen a thingy. I couldn't believe my eyes. I've just seen a thingy. It was more than words could describe. It was all sort of, and kind of what's it do? Yes, I've just seen a thingy. If you saw it